Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
This is Justin West from Podcast Portugal. I'm very excited to have an interview today with Adilson from Tapumarte. Tapumarte is a unique art project transforming urban spaces with creativity and social purpose. They do things like organizing community-driven murals, and basically they bring art out of the galleries and onto the streets, and sometimes from the streets to other walls. And I think it gives a good voice to the underrepresented stories and artists. That's exciting stuff. Adilson, welcome.
Cheers, mate. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, all good. All good. We've known each other for a while now. We've had a few beers and talked a lot about art. It's one of the big reasons I wanted to get you here on the podcast is to talk about Tapumarte. And I've also noticed another project you have with the design studio. We'll have time to talk about that. I reckon we could kick off with the origins and the mission of Tapumarte.
Yeah. Great. Man, I should start to say... thank you so much for inviting me here, and for the amazing work that you've been doing so far, not only in the art area, but also in this part of, spreading the word and bringing voice to the art in Portugal and abroad. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Cheers, mate. And regarding your question, how Tapumarte comes up, it's a curious project because it started as a challenge from a commercial place, a commercial Oeiras Park shopping center here in Oeiras, Portugal. Basically, they wanted to revamp their food court area, and one of the marketing directors called me directly to say that they wanted to do something unusual, not just bringing those fences with the glued vinyl or advertising or something like that. And I came up with two veteran artists, the Ram and Mar, the veteran graffiti artists. And we did a whole project for about 2 weeks, painting during the night, And so it was, the beginning of the project was there. And in Portuguese, Tapum in the dictionary is something that you put up to hide construction or ugly stuff behind. So that's tapum in the dictionary. And so I put tapum and art. So compiled the name Tapumarte. So basically Tapumarte means art in the tapum. All right.
Yeah.
And from then on, it started rolling challenges and I wanted to not only have a commercial project, but bring something back to society. So, man, it's been going since 2016, and we're doing so far so great, man. Yeah,
great. Yeah, I mean, some of the recent projects that I've been fully aware of and actually involved in is the whole a mutual friend of ours, Professor. At Taguspark, he's got such an interest in art and such an interest in entrepreneurialism. He's really helped a lot of artists and given us a space. And talk a little bit about the project the multiple projects that have been going on with Taguspark, and maybe we can explain to the listeners a little bit about what Taguspark is, where it is, our relationship with Professor Eduardo.
Yeah, definitely. So it happened right after. It's curious because after we did this revamp and this art intervention at the Oeiras Park, our work started, to draw some attention. And Taguspark is a big corporate science study park in here in Oeiras, and it's really huge. For people that don't understand, you can take a look and see what Taguspark is. And it's a big complex, really wide, really extensive, full of concrete, cement and iron, big buildings. And they called me there to go. At the time, I didn't know Professor Eduardo Batista Correa. And but basically, they called me there to do a graffiti intervention at their garages. And it's really curious because I've curated. So I bought this youth one of the veterans also of graffiti in Portugal. And we did the intervention in one of those garages. It's really curious because we did it on a Saturday morning. So we did the whole weekend painting. And Monday morning, I get this call at 8 a.m. Got this call saying, Adilson, it's really amazing. The work is fantastic. And I go, but? And they say, but this is not the wall. So, yeah, basically at the time, the person that indicated me the wall, he was starting there at the time, and the space is really huge, like I said, and there's a lot of resemblances between the garages. Yeah, so they said this is the wall that you guys need to paint, and I said, "Are you sure?" Because I thought it was the other one. And I said, "No, I'm pretty sure it's this one." So yeah, it was not the right wall.
Luckily, they have a few.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So they said, Adilson, but no problem. Can you still do the other wall? We did the other wall. And then they said, "Man, it's really looking great because the people that work here come and take pictures and Instagram and they do selfies, you know. So what do you think about we spread this artistic presence to the other garages and to the other facilities?" And dude, we've started. Man, so far we have around. I don't want to be mistaken, but I think around 20 walls.
Wow.
20 walls around there. And yeah, really interesting, you know. So I curated artists from north to south of Portugal. And from then on, they said, okay, but it's really cool. Can you help us construct or build here a sculpture park? Because outside that's also plenty of nature, and so we started building some sculptures. Yeah, I hired other kind of artists, even artists with graffiti. Now we are doing some interventions over there also with sculpture, 3D sculptures. So basically, I should say now at this time, Tapumarte is not only about doing social work and bringing graffiti or street art to unexpected places, but also we try to bring an upgrade to the life of these graffiti artists, like turning their 2D, like in walls, turning their work into 3D, sculptures, installations. And you can see that there at this time we have around 5 or 6 sculptures around and still going. We did also something very interesting with this Portuguese artist, contemporary Paulo Arraiano, that he did a big sculpture there, 3 meters high, with LEDs and steel, manipulated steel, really interesting. And then we did a graffiti 3D 3.0 with LEDs and an installation with bringing words outside of coming out of the wall. So yeah, I should say that we are, bringing some innovations into this graffiti area. And yeah. So it's yeah.
Super interesting. And do you think this is a lot of this area open to the public, particularly like the graffiti in the garages? Because I would imagine like members of the public can visit Taguspark and when they're in Oeiras and go and have a look around. And what do you think was the purpose? I know it was sort of evolved and ideas got extended from that first project, but what is the vision for Taguspark? Why do you think that they are so enthusiastic to have so much art everywhere? Is this just a personal drive from Professor Eduardo?
I should say that yes, but as CEOs of a huge project, usually they tend to go a bit out of their professional to not only business. So I should say that yes, it's his personal taste, but on the other hand, I think it's giving back not to the community, but giving back to their residents at the space. Because very important, this add-on that I should give you is we did this at the time. It was on the pandemic, Yeah, 2020. Everyone was locked down. So in our minds, in the people's minds, we thought that it would only be a lockdown for 1 month or something like that. But everyone was in their homes doing remote work. And the professor's idea was when people would come back to work, that they would see a revamped and more happy place to work. So a person that is happy on his job, I think, can do a better job and gives motivation to your daily routines, right? So he started, giving more walls, more spaces where we could put art, and I think the feedback was so positive, and like I said, people were starting taking pictures and selfies and posting them online, and really really happy. And so I think Professor looked at it and said, maybe this is just not my personal belief, but I think it's effective, you know? And obviously, in a point of strategic, I should say that they can really differentiate from the other um, scientific or corporate parks around Portugal, in Europe even. I do know at this time that you also had an exhibition there.
Yeah,
That was congratulations at the time where we've met. And I
yeah.
think it's really, really, really amazing the job that you did there.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, this space was so fantastic too, because I paint. Probably the listeners don't really know, but I paint quite large paintings, like minimum. Well, the bigger ones are like 1.8 meters by 1.8 meters, and it's kind of a challenge to find places that really represent the work really well. And then when Taguspark sort of offered me that space, I looked at it and thought, wow, this is huge, and I could actually exhibit all. I think it was 25 paintings that I had, maybe less than that, maybe 17 paintings. And it was kind of a challenge because the shape of the walls are all curved, and they also are angled as well. They're not straight up north-south. They are angled like slightly sort of northwest-southwest. So, yeah, I was like, how am I going to hang these paintings? And you could literally walk around the back of the
And
paintings.
inclined also.
And I left little messages for people on the back who were curious enough to turn around and look at the back of the picture frames to see what was around the back. So I actually left a little bit of graffiti on top behind the classical paintings. But yeah, it was really fun. It was hard work, and but I really loved it. It's so nice to see all your work in a big space like that and feel the support. The opening evening that was all. And all the promotional activities which were done by Taguspark and Beatriz and Professor Eduardo and the team was really, really cool. It felt really supportive, and yeah, it was a good time.
No, it's definitely, man. And I love the way you've displayed them, and everyone was, because your paintings are huge, and people would look at them and say, "Wow, man." You could almost dive into some of your paintings, man. Really cool, really cool.
Well, because Beatrice sort of originally said, she said, well, you can have these like square plinths and we can put the exhibition here at this end of the space. And I looked at the space and thought, no, Beatrice said, okay, I'm going to hang them from cables from the ceiling. They had those special display cable tracks. I said, I'm going to fill the whole space. If that's okay. She looked at me and went, yeah, go for it. Whatever. It just so happened they fit perfectly in the whole space, all of them.
Definitely, man.
Yeah, happy days. It's a very interesting concept because in all creativity in history, we've always had these centers. In the past, it's been universities or whatever. But it's nice to have a center of activity where you have businesses, you have learning, you have arts, you have they have
Science.
a theater there as well. They have food, they have restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a coming together of all these different corporations as well that have their headquarters or their office buildings. And so people can kind of meet and you get a good community and sharing of ideas. And when that's also immersed in art and creativity, I think it inspires people to be more creative. I think ideas, and they have an incubator there of technology incubator. And I think it's a really cool concept. And I know that we both went to a really nice evening at the once U.S. ambassador Randy Levine. Now she's not anymore, sadly, the ambassador. But we went to her house on an invitation, which was really cool, and she was just blown away by Professor Eduardo's concept. And she was like, "Oh, we went to Taguspark and we got showed around, and she was like, I think this is something that we really need to look at doing in the whole of the US, you know." So it's kind of I was really proud of Portugal. It's really innovative. And I think it's, I think Portugal could really do with, on a political, commercial, economic kind of scale, look at these types of concepts and include art and include creativity as well as just the corporate identity.
Yeah, definitely. They now they are having this new project, which is the artistic residencies. So artists can apply and they'll be there for 4 months. They give them the space so where they can create and and they even Taguspark even supports them financially to bring up some projects. So it's I think they're breaking the ground. They're breaking it. Yeah.
Between you and me, I think I secretly gave them that idea.
Dude, I knew it.
Because I saw this space there. They were renovating a cafe or a restaurant, and it was sort of left a little bit abandoned. I was like, man, that would be a cool studio, painting there in front of all of the Taguspark people walking about doing their business. And I said to Beatrice, I said, "You ever thought about doing artist residencies here? Because I'm sure you have like buildings which are temporarily being upgraded or going through a transition of what you're going to do with them." And she was like, "Oh yeah, that's a kind of a good idea."
It's your fault.
Yeah. And now it's my fault. It's perfect. But I'm so happy to see it. If I lived a little bit near Ruedas these days, I'd probably try and apply to do an artist residency there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, the commute from Alentejo might be a little bit too much.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure they don't want me sleeping on a sofa there whilst I'm doing some paintings.
Just for a weekend, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, we're now, we have this project that I didn't tell you earlier, but we've put this together, which is called Bet All Club.
Bet All Club.
Yeah. Bet All Club, which means it's a project that brings the vibe of the battles, like hip hop battles, rhyme battles. But we started with only graffiti battles in Lisbon, and so we've challenged 4 crews of Portugal to battle. Between them, we would give them random words that they would paint on a 4x2 meter canvas in 1 hour and a half rounds, right? So they would go to the finals. And Battle Club starts now with first edition only graffiti. Second edition, we will be including the breakdance. On the third edition, we will be including the DJing. And on the fourth edition, we will be including also the rap battle. So at the end, at the fourth edition, you'll be having the 4 disciplines of hip hop.
Nice.
Okay, so graffiti, breakdance, DJing, and rap.
Great.
Yeah, and it's a project that has never been done in Portugal, and I don't think it exists in the world. And we try to unify the graffiti culture, meaning that we've challenged one graffiti crew from north of Portugal, another one from south, Algarve, which are 2 areas that there's a lot of talented people but don't have the voice of the awareness as we have in Lisbon. Unfortunately, that's a bit of the truth. But the talent is there, the vibe is there, and the realness is there, And so this was, and then a graffiti crew from Lisbon, and one emergent upcoming crew, with young artists, and they've battled between the four of them in four rounds. So a final prize money and a chance to paint a big mural in Lisbon for the winner. All right, which is the project wants to give the same for everyone. So, like in the second edition, we will be opening giving. We will create an open call so anyone can participate, send their work through our website, which is betall.club. All right. And people can submit their work there. Then we have a jury to analyze the work, the curriculum of these artists, and starting from here, first edition, second edition will be also in Lisbon. Then we try to go to north or south, depending on the time of the year. So, which basically means that Battle Club is a new project that can give awareness and try to give more space where artists can show their work, not just on the walls on the street, not just on the clubs where they rap or where they DJ, not only on their rooms. This is a project that now we want to bring up. And one of the ideas is also to not make it a festival, but make it an event. And the fifth edition, ideally, will be happening in a social neighborhood.
It's really strange. So when I first moved to Portugal, in the south, in the Algarve, I remember going on the train and passing all the train stations and thinking to myself, wow, Portugal is kind of looks a little bit like, well, especially from the train station perspective, like it's looking a little bit decayed and there's a lot of graffiti everywhere. And from someone who came from a place, I'd moved from Saudi Arabia where, there is virtually no graffiti, you cannot do that kind of thing. Otherwise you get in big trouble. Yeah, exactly. And you come to Portugal and you're, okay, this is really, really urban and at first I was like, I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure about it. And then as I started to live in Portugal for longer and I used to drive around and you go to the West Coast, to Amado or something like that, and you pass these ruins and then you suddenly start to appreciate some of this graffiti art is actually really nice. It's not just random scrollings or like overlays of different people tagging buildings and stuff. It's actually, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's going on, and it's started to grow on me. And then visiting Lisbon as well, like you start to see it, almost like an intention of the city to give space to art, and then actually the city which I lived in, Lagos, also has a whole specific community helped by the camera, which gives space to graffiti artists, and you can literally go on a trail. You can actually go on a walk around Lagos and to see all of the different artwork. And I thought, you know what, this is such a cool idea, and it changed my whole perspective of graffiti art.
Yeah, definitely. We also do some kind of street art tours, and we've been doing it since 2000. And dude, I would risk to say that we were the first guys to do a street art or graffiti tour in Lisbon, man. At the time we did it in 2013, we did it for some schools. Then the idea was spreading around. Then we did it for a couple of journalists, that wanted to know how it was happening, the street art scene in Lisbon. Then there's a division of the city hall, which is called GAU, Galeria de Arte Urbana, which they detect walls and they legalize it. I don't know how you say, they license it so people can paint freely, with no problem. And they are really doing a fantastic job. Meaning that if you're a graffiti artist and you, for example, you identify a wall and you want to paint it, you just send them an email with your project, obviously, and saying, I know this is a kind of bureaucratic, but trust me, it's not bureaucratic at all. If they give you the license, the permit to paint the wall, they want to know what you're going to paint there. And then they give you this email that you can print. And if the police passes by and what are you doing here? And you just show them the email, and you're fine to go. So, dude, it's really, yeah.
Sometimes it surprises me how clever these things are. I think that's such a unique idea, because but traditionally, like graffiti, a lot of wall art, should we call it, comes from social or political perspectives, and often they are anti-establishment. So for the establishment to actually give space to these voices is truly democratic. I kind of really like that idea. And graffiti or wall art or political statements, they have a long history of being written on walls of towns and cities, and often there is pushback from and challenges from the authorities and property owners also. And how do you sort of, do you get any pushback from the authorities with some of the things that the artists do, or is it like literally before the license is agreed, they have to have sketches and that kind of thing?
Man, I haven't had directly any problem, because as a producer and trying to, give a bit of a, should you say, entrepreneurial side of bringing artists and connecting artists to their final audience, or bringing artists together with brands or artists with collectors. My main, as producer and curator, my main concern is to, do a job with no entropy, right? No problems, no legal questions. So I always try to follow the rules and go by the book. And obviously that the real graffiti is illegal, and always trying to give your message, regardless the wall or the state of the consequences, or the political side of the story. But obviously, as I'm trying to give a bit of, like I said, entrepreneurial side to this art, I have to be careful with that. So to answer precisely, nothing has happened to me before, like in this legal side of it. But I've been receiving calls from some artists that said, "Man, dude, I have this problem. How police came to me? How can you help me? They're gonna fine me, or this is going to court or something like that." And I always try to help, try to meet with them, try to see what was the problem, and but so far I haven't had any problem regarding lawyers or stuff like that.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, because if you think from the perspective of the artist, they don't want any censorship on their freedom of expression, and then the camera or whatever organizations, the establishment, want to give a space for a degree of freedom of expression, and then you're in the middle, trying to balance it out and weigh it out, and also possibly see, because sometimes the artists might be a little bit clever, and they might work on hidden messages in that art that pull the wool over the eyes of the establishment. And I think graffiti and then street art needs to come from a place of struggle, of political importance, or maybe not. But you have a definite balancing act between these two forces. Do you feel that?
Definitely, bro.
Yeah.
That's how I make my living, and that's how I try to try to make the artist understand that, okay, dude, you can make this for the rest of your life, but if you want to pay your bills, you have to be clever. And that's how you bring the creativity, because the need brings creativeness, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to be like 45 years old, father, and still pay your bills and do what you love, you have to be, at some point, you have to be,
compromise?
Be flexible,
Yeah, these words, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, I find it very interesting, because like some of the greatest art at the time was always anti-establishment. If you look at the history of art, it's always been that way.
Bro.
And so but then also maybe you need to have the weight of the establishment on your shoulders to to try to break free, and you need a prison so that you can escape, right?
Exactly. Man, I once saw on YouTube this, the Rage Against the Machine.
Mm.
When the BBC, they were Rage Against the Machine at the time, were really exploding everywhere. Everyone was listening to the "Fuck you, I won't do what you told me."
Yeah, is this the one with the "fuck the police"? No, that was
That was Body
someone
Count.
else, right? Yeah.
But this Rage Against the Machine, the song was "Fuck you, I won't do what you told me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." And so the BBC hired them to, not hired them. BBC had them live, and they said, "Man, the only way you guys can go live on national television is you can't say the F word, And the manager told them not to say the F word. The television responsible said, "Okay, you guys can go, but don't say the F word." Dude, at the time when they were playing live on national television, what did they do? They said, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." Dude, after that, they really busted their career. So that's usually also, you have to balance what is your concern and do the thing, in the boundaries that they tell you to. But like you said, you have to have a prison so you can escape. And that's people, and the stories and the movies talk about the escapees.
Hey, Adilson, do you know Nuno Vegas from the Algarve, the artist? Yeah, I think we're going to make an interview together on Podcast Portugal in some point in the future. I think he said he's gonna, once he's come back from the exhibition that he's doing in California. I think it's in the Think Space Gallery. I think he's going to come back and we're going to have a good chat about what he's doing. So super excited about that. I really like his stuff. Now, since I've found out a little bit more about him, I've been checking him out, and a cool story. Hey,
he's doing also an amazing work with sculptures and little sculptures and more large scale. Yes, dude, I think the way is there. The future is not only being stuck to walls or to painting. As artists, I believe that you should explore your talent, your techniques, the materials, the technology. And so, dude, there's a wide spectrum where artists can challenge themselves, to come higher, to higher powers, man. And like they say, with great powers comes great responsibility, man. With great technology and great inventions, man. Not inventions, great materials. You can do whatever you feel with your creativity, man. I think the sky is the limit.
I think I've definitely seen like a growth in a lot of the artists making kind of like consumables. I would say I'd call them like small toys or collectibles or these kind of things that can be 3D printed and sold online or whatever, and so people can actually own a piece of a well-known artist. I think that's kind of nice. It's kind of mass-produced art, but people will pay and have something, and it helps support the artist, and I think that's kind of a nice project. And yeah, I mean, what do you think that some of the biggest challenges facing artists in Portugal right now? Not just urban artists. Obviously, artists always struggle a little bit to make ends meet, and there is a lot of centers and projects that help, like what you do. But sort of what would be advice to young artists who are up and coming? They're full of ideas and full of positivity, and where do they go? What do they do? Well, from someone with your experience and your level of knowledge of the artistic world in Portugal, what would be your guidance for them?
All right. So my main advice is, actually, it's a bit controversial, because my main advice is don't care about the money in the first place, because when you do it with your heart, you will eventually get there, and money comes with the success, or with the awareness, or with the time passing by, right? As you maintain consistent in what you do, and loyal to to your values and to yourself and to your art, I believe you will eventually get there, right? So, putting this, I believe that as a young artist, you should try to be present at the most events possible, the more number of events possible that you can. Keep consistency in the work that you do. So don't care if you're being paid or not. There's a lot of spaces where you can put your name there, put your art there, and it doesn't take a lot of money. It only takes time. But as an artist, I believe that time is your best ally, and keep consistency in the work that you do, and be original. Like if you have your own style, specific style, and if it's strong enough, I'm not saying not to be diverse in your kind of work, but be original to what you do, because originality nowadays, the more number of artists that you have around doing several stuff and with really good quality and with really important messages, the attention of your audience is being, spread, attention spam constantly all over the place. And the artist that can have his originality and have his notoriety, his awareness, that can have his awareness straight, with consistency, obviously, will be the artist that can have the success. So don't care about the money, but be where the money is. All right. So I know it's a bit controversy, but graffiti nowadays, graffiti artists, the most known, like for example, Vils, Banksy, dude, they've never done it for the money, especially Banksy, right? In the beginning, obviously, spraying everywhere, being present everywhere. There's this guy nowadays here in Portugal, Super Linux. Have you heard of him? He does several sculptures with mannequins. How do I say mannequins? Yeah, mannequins. He paints them and give them some details that passes his message. And he's everywhere. Got awareness. Came on national news. Came on people's Instagrams on the streets. On the daily life. So he does that, not for the money, because he does it. He's not being paid. He does his illegal job. Some of his sculptures are still untouched. Through all Lisbon. And now he's making his life with collectors.
So he like puts the mannequins in places in Lisbon.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I've seen one.
You have, bro. For example, and not only mannequins, dishwashing machine. He put a laundry machine, painted it all in pink floor, and put it on top of a bus stop. For example, that's so really cool. Original, man.
Yeah, that is great.
And it was there for like 2 months.
I've seen one of his mannequins. I'm pretty sure, because I remember walking past, going, "Hey, what's that doing there? That's cool."
You see, for example,
hey, that's nice. Oh, congratulations to him.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And he's doing his work. For example, that's really original nowadays, man. He got his work around. So, man, for you to stand out in the middle of all this noise that's going around, you have to be original and keep going, man, and doing what you do, and be present at events, get to know people, talk to people. Don't hide yourself in your bunker or in your room just painting, man. Obviously, it's really important, and artists have their creativity moments or their creativity crisis. But, dude, when you're not feeling like painting, go outside and meet people. Try to explore, to see what's going around. And obviously, we cannot continue this conversation without mentioning the AI, right?
Yeah.
Dude, AI is, it's there. I don't know if what I'm going to say is right, but at least with the AI, you can know what not to do. I don't know if this makes sense. No, but...
Yeah, you can elaborate.
Dude, for example, if you imagine, like, I want to do a stencil with a mouse throwing a heart to a police officer. You can search on the AI if it's been done before.
Yeah.
Or if it's been done, who is the artist? You know, you don't have to go there and search, I want to be original, and then you put up a work together, and all of a sudden there's 5 more guys that do it in the world, you know. I'm not saying that she should not do work that has references of other artists. What I'm trying to say is, for example, like Vils. Vils is the only guy that has his original technique of, you know, of
knocking the plaster out, knocking the cement out, and chipping
man.
away.
And any artist that does that, man, he's going to be fake. I'm not gonna buy a work of art, a work of a so-called artist that's doing the same job as Vils did, because it's a Vils. It's only the guy that created that technique, that did that technique, man. So yeah, for me, I would not buy a work of art that I don't think it's original, you know. So you can search on AI if something has done the kind of art that you want to do, but this is just an idea. I don't know, man. I don't know. No one has the dog.
So you're sort of saying use AI if you're a young artist and you have some ideas and you want to check if they're original. You can literally use AI to try to confirm if your idea is original or if you are just being a copycat, or you can take those original ideas and maybe put a twist to them or something like that.
For example?
Yeah.
Or from that on, you can have a brainstorm with the AI, brainstorm and try to see if it gives you any ideas, you know? Man, I think it could be an idea. So, man, the more information that you have as an artist, the best for you, man. And it's in the palm of your hands, you know. Search, read, question, ask, man, and then try, because obviously knowledge is a power also, right? And the more knowledge you know about your area, the more probabilities of success I think you'll have.
So what do you think about so if I was an artist and I actually told AI to create works of art for me, am I going to be the artist or is the AI the artist?
No, you are the artist.
But I could use AI as a tool to create the art. Yeah.
Dude, I think that everyone nowadays is using AI at least just to, you know, shortcut to the place where they want to reach, you know? Like text, visuals, editing, songwriting, song composing. Dude, there's a wide variety of outputs that you can achieve with AI, and not use it specifically as a tool of work, but use it as a disclaimer, you know? Should I say, man, to shortcut, to organize your ideas, to do some experiments without really wasting money, or, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it could be
the legalization. You could probably actually ask AI about the legalization of something as an artist, on copyright or trademarking images, or there's a bunch of stuff that maybe you can circumvent legal problems with through AI, or even find, like, search for somebody like you, you know, like, how can I get more into public spaces with my art? And AI might put. I was actually talking to Rita about this yesterday, because I noticed that you can actually, and I think maybe this is a good message for some young artists out there as well, you can actually help train AI. So what I mean by that is, if you search for your own name, say Donange West, say like I paint under Donange West, artist, Portugal. If you put that into AI and see what the results are, you can actually improve those results. So you get the results and you say, no, okay, this is the artist, this is his summary of what he works, this is where he did it. And then you input it back into the AI to help it learn. And then so when somebody else searches for artists of Portugal or whatever, then they come up with a bit more of a concise summary of you. So that it's quite a nice little tool. I'm experimenting with that at the moment. So yeah, you can train them because sometimes they give you an options of which answer do you prefer, this one or this one. So they're sort of they're learning on the go, and if they do this a million times, 20 times the power of whatever, they're helping refine what people need to see and the best way for them to see it. And I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's also scary. You know, in many ways, how much stuff I can get done now, which in a fraction of the time was what it used to take me. Press releases, all of that kind of stuff. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, man. Although you have to be careful because sometimes he gives you wrong information.
Yep.
The other day I was checking for about an artist which has deceased, and I know she's deceased because and AI was, fighting with me saying, no, she's alive and she's in well condition and she's doing music. And I said, whoa, man. Really?
Yeah,
man,
that's strange.
3 times he was, stubborn.
Yeah, which one was that? That was
ChatGPT.
Yeah, okay. Because I noticed some are not as good as others for sure.
And so,
I'm not going to say which.
No. Yeah. It might bite your toes.
Yeah, it might. Yeah. Who knows if it's becoming vindictive or not?
Yeah, man, dude. So, dude, I don't know, but for me, I think you have to use it with careful. It's like alcohol or speed cars, or it's there, but don't put the full gas, man. Because a Ferrari can go 300 miles or something, man. It's not gonna work well for you at the end, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good sound advice, particularly for young artists, is to use it, but not not to or make a project of it. These times it's very interesting, it's very topical, but there's definitely some opportunities there. My current project at the moment is on a little bit of a different subject, is all about movement in time and space. So I'm kind of got this new project, this new thing boiling away in my mind, and it's not a new concept really. Like Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning, some of my favorite artists of all time. They explored similar things, but from my self-coaching background, and also I'm doing a lot of jiu-jitsu, and I've got this fascination with like movement and the visual movement in time and in space. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that I'm working on at the moment. How that's going to come out, I'm not sure, but the obvious ways are the movement of the brushstrokes and the movement of the marks, and that's all the stuff that's happened in art history. But I'm trying to look at doing a different way of doing that. So
looking forward to see what's coming out of there, bro.
Yeah, deep in thought. As usual, I think these things need to be thought out a lot in advance, and finding the time and space.
Yeah, man.
It's the trick. Yeah, the movement is okay. I'm always moving forward. It's
You
finding
are,
the
my
time
friend.
and space.
You are.
Yeah. No. Now I'm gonna interview Professor Eduardo as well. So I'll say hi to him from you.
Yeah, please.
We haven't booked in a particular time yet, but I'm sure we'll organize it at some point. And we should also say hi to Beatrice, who's having her first child.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is cool for her. Big new journey and massive creation for her. And YouTube and Amazon podcasts and everything. I'll have a link, and probably the best one is to do tapumarte.org.
Yeah.
Because I think you have everything there, right?
That will be the best. Bro.
Okay, that'll be the best way to link it in. And tell me a little bit about the design studio as well. I noticed it was really cool. I opened up that link and I saw a bunch of really nice graphics. And what is the intention of that?
Dude, that's with Yup. YUP is a old school artist, man. We used to study together, And so what we're doing is a design studio. Man, he's done jobs for Nike, for Volkswagen. Man, he's done a lot of good stuff. And he's been outside of the design area for a couple of years. And I challenged him to come back, bring these old school images and new designs. And that's basically a design studio for projects where, he just focuses on design, and I focus on the other side of bringing clients and bringing some good stuff out. And I will be giving you more news soon, bro. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
About you, yeah.
Yeah. It looks really nice. I checked it out, and some of the graphics there were really impressive. I was like, oh, that man. If I was a company, or if I needed to do some sort of promotions or Instagram or something, there would be very nice images to be doing my branding of or corporate branding or logos or whatever. Is that the type of thing that it's intended for?
Definitely.
This podcast will stay online forever, so we don't need to be too time specific. But if they can find you on Tapumarte and anything that's going on at that particular time, that's the best way, I think. But yeah, any final messages that you want to say to anybody?
Is it now?
Yeah, let's go.
This is for the bloopers, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, definitely a final message. Just like I said before, man, just be honest to yourself, believe in yourself, maintain your road. Your consistency, and don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the money. It will come as long as you're honest to yourself and stay true to your art.
Beautiful.
Okay?
Beautiful. Nice.
That's the message, bro.
Thanks, man. That's cool.
Thank you so much, Justin. Love you, bro.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Look good seeing you soon. So, keep me posted on what's going on. Thanks, brother.
See you soon, bro.
Ciao. This is Portugal. Over and out. Thanks, man.
Cheers, my brother. Love you.
See you soon. You too. Take care.
Living on a rock, living on a roller coaster, 365
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.